Welcome, everyone, and I'm very glad that you are joining us today. My name is Meg Adams, and I'm the Central Regional Coordinator of the Indiana State Library's Professional Development Office. I will be the host and question moderator for today's webinar, which is AI-powered research and data analysis. If you have questions during the webinar, we will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. At the end of the presentation, you may enter your questions in the chat. Today's presenter is Treg Hopkins, who is the co-founder of Connectable, which is an Indiana-based nonprofit committed to enhancing adult education programs across more than 20 states through advanced data systems and artificial intelligence. After this webinar has been transcribed, it will be available on the Indiana State Library's archived webinars page. If you are watching an archived recording of this presentation, information on how to obtain your LEU is in the video's description in YouTube. For weekly updates on upcoming trainings and to learn more about what's happening in libraries across the state, please subscribe to the Indiana State Library's e-newsletter, The Wednesday Word, and check our continuing education website for other professional development opportunities. So let's get started. Thank you so much for being with us today, Treg, and for the great music. I will hand the presentation over to you.
Well, thanks, Megan, and excited to be back and discussing another exciting AI topic with you all. So if you were able to attend the last one, I appreciate you coming back for more. If this is your first one, I'm just happy to be here with you. We're going to talk about AI-powered research and data analysis, and that's kind of my alley with what I do. I'm a certified quantitative research methodologist, so I use AI to help me with the research a lot, and excited to share some of what I've learned about it and just kind of have some discussion with you at the end or be able to answer questions that you might have. I also have a shout out to my library of the month for myself. I was up at the Yorktown Public Library, a little library in Northern Indiana, and they were able to offer me some great services. They did free notaries. They helped some people that I was helping out as well, and excited to kind of report back that they were just doing an excellent job. So always glad to see our public libraries out in the community helping people and helping people just like me. So appreciate all of that. I'm going to go ahead and do some things around here to this other monitor for myself, and we'll begin just kind of talking about our topic today. What our agenda looks like is that we're going to be talking about just how artificial intelligence is really revolutionizing research. And we want to talk about how you can help your clients and patrons and people in your community, as well as your own library, understand what the data is telling us. So we'll talk about some key AI tools for data analysis as well, and some implementation strategies. I've got about 3 of them for you today, so you can kind of figure out, well, what fits best for your program, what fits best for what you are doing with your patrons and that kind of thing. And then we'll talk about some real world success stories, just some case studies that I thought would be helpful to share so that you can see what this can do for your community and why you might start engaging others in your community to start looking at artificial intelligence and the research that it can provide in terms of data analytics. And then we'll, talk about getting started, some actual practical steps that you can take in order to begin this process in your library if you haven't already started. So the AI research revolution is kind of what I'm calling it. Of course, we're familiar with traditional research, and that can be a bit complicated at times. Sometimes it's over people's heads. So we want to look at AI as an opportunity to really kind of bring it down where anybody can use the tool and get some good results from it. But artificial intelligence tools themselves, they're really transforming the way that research is landscaped and what it looks like. It's not replacing researchers. Of course, I'm still out there, and you're still out there, but it is amplifying our capabilities. There was a time when I was like working with doctoral dissertations, and I would have to go through and check all of the research and check all of the data and the statistics and see what those results were looking at. It would take me usually about 60 hours to go through that painstaking process. And today it takes me usually less than an hour. So it can really help identify things that I couldn't see as well. So it could see things that I couldn't because it was looking across large amounts of data and really comparing them together. So these tools, they really automate those routine and time-consuming tasks like data collection, sorting, and even the preliminary analysis. Now, you still have to know what you're looking at. So that's kind of nice to know that you still have a very active role in it. And it's important that, as researchers, that we're allowing our focus on higher level thinking and the strategy itself. So more importantly than all of that, artificial intelligence is excelling at really detecting complex patterns. And again, it kind of goes beyond what I was capable of with just like the human eye. So it offers that fresh insight and really that novel direction for inquiry itself. And in the end, it's really that it's serving as a powerful partner to me. It's enhancing the depth and the speed and the scope of the research itself. And rather than diminishing the role of the human mind behind it, it really is kind of supercharging our capabilities when it comes to research. Now, the productivity itself is also greatly being impacted. So when librarians are able to combine your professional expertise with artificial intelligence as a validation tool, the accuracy of that data analysis actually improves significantly. So human judgment ensures that contextual relevance of these ethical oversights is happening, and it's happening in real time, while artificial intelligence itself is able to provide the consistency and even that pattern recognition of the tasks. It still requires that ethical oversight, that contextual relevance that you're able to provide. So studies themselves have been able to show that this is that synergy that we've been needing, and that it leads to fewer errors and more reliable conclusions, particularly when we're verifying sources, which I think is always kind of a pain to go through, especially with how vast the internet is. If people are using online sources, sometimes it's really hard to verify them. It's very hard to verify whether or not they're credible even. So we want to be able to verify them utilizing artificial intelligence to be able to synthesize those complex data sources as well. It's great about tying that information together and really bringing it into one place. And it dramatically increases the volume of the relevant information that the researchers have the ability to see, including librarians, that you can process this information across your entire library and every library in your state, every library in your country. And then, of course, on that research side, it can also help by like filtering noise and being able to prioritize what is the high quality or that topic specific content that we're all looking for. So it enables us to really analyze much larger data sets rather without becoming overwhelmed. And we see that it has that impact on the productivity itself, where 76% is saving time. So that's great that you have more time to spend with your people. I don't know about in your world, but in my world, it often wears like I'm like wearing multiple hats at any given time. Sometimes AI is allowing me to take off a hat or two hats and really kind of combine my own skills. It's kind of synthesizing my day. But I think the most important aspect of it is the improving aspect of accuracy. I know that it can be really frustrating sometimes to rely on information that you later find out is outdated, for example. So accuracy improvement can also mean that we're improving how relevant the information is and in real time. So we want to make sure that the data that we have is up to date, and AI is a great way of making sure that it is. Now, we've got some technologies that we are using that's really transforming the way that we research. These we've kind of touched on last time if you were over there in that session, but in case you weren't, I'm going to go through them again because these are the ones that are actually helping us understand how data is being analyzed. The first one is just natural language processing, and that's allowing us to understand and interpret information. And the information that we're interpreting is the human language. So the way that we are wording phrases, the way that we're saying things, of course, sometimes we don't always say it in the best manner. It can understand that even and kind of code it back to generating it in a more appropriate way. We also have something called machine learning. Machine learning is where we're recognizing those patterns from the data without having to tell it. So we're not having to specifically program it ourselves. It just already knows, and it's predictive in its nature. It's learning the more that you use it. So as you continue to use those machine learning systems in your library, it continues to anticipate and learn from the mistakes. So it can know kind of things that maybe you're not seeing, and it can respond to them accordingly. And then computer vision, that's allowing us to actually use some visualizations when it comes to the interpretation of data. I was actually at my chiropractor the other day, and just for fun, I said, hey, let me show you like what our AI can do for your x-rays and the scans that you have. So he was like, okay, let's upload yours. So we uploaded mine and we just gave it some very basic information about, look at this, analyze it, add visualization. So add the lines and things that the chiropractor generally put in himself. And it did it, but it saw things that he didn't see. And it added other lines that he didn't usually add. So the visualization piece for that data, it's able to see it more in like 4-dimension rather than 2-dimension. And it can do that with any of your data. So it can take it from an image itself, like a picture, a chart, or a graph, or it can take it from raw data and it can convert it into a picture, a chart, or a graph. So computer vision is kind of merging these activities together, that natural language processing, the machine learning, and it's saying, well, let's take human language and the human sight, and let's take the machine learning, those things that we anticipate and the analytics that are predictable, and let's combine those into an image that you yourself can see. So those are the core technologies that we're going to be able to use and how these tools are going to work for the data analysis itself. So the tools that we often refer to as ChatGPT or Gemini, Copilot, those are what we call large language models. So that's the number one thing, and that's what we use, I would say, most often because one, it's within everyone's reach, so we all kind of have it. It's often free, so you can begin using it right away. And whether it is ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, those are some of the more popular names that you've probably heard of. Those are all just similar tools for what we call generative AI. And that means that it's able to kind of take some of what you have and then really write it for itself and for you. That means that you can put in what's called a prompt. And I believe we have a session on prompts as we move forward through this series as well. But it's able to do things like to summarize, analyze, to dumb it down even. You can say, hey, this is written at a college level, but I need it for somebody that's in the 5th grade. And it can actually do that without leaving behind the context of the meaning itself. It can also translate. So being able to put in something and say, I need this flyer in Spanish, or I need this flyer in French, and it can do that so that it's really reaching the communities that you're serving. But it can also do some complex tasks. It can even do some deep research, these large language models. So it has the capability at this stage with ChatGPT 5 to basically operate as if it has a PhD. So it's that level of work that it can do. And it can do anything below that level as well. But what that means is that generally speaking, it can do things better than most individuals can within your community, but with the right coding, with the right language, with your right usage and ability, it's capable. Most of the mistakes that it makes is because of human error. So it's putting in information from ourselves that doesn't necessarily tell it specifically what is needed or how accurate it needs to be. Sometimes they make mistakes in accuracy, and it's because we didn't give it parameters on what is accurate, or we didn't provide it the data that was needed for it to be accurate. The second tool that we have is called semantic search engines. And it's kind of interesting if you think back in time, and I was fortunate, I kind of always had a computer in the house growing up, or I guess maybe that was also unfortunate, depending on your view. But for me, it was fortunate. But we were early adopters of the internet and search engines, and you used to have to use very specific language. We used to have to put items in quotations, ands, ors, things like that. We had to get really specific in how we were phrasing what we were looking for, because the search engine back then was just a database. But then introduced something called AskJeeves.com. I don't know if any of you remember Ask Jeeves, or what later became Ask.com. But what was so unique about that search engine was that you could ask it a question like a human would, and that it would return search results for you. Well, now everybody's doing that, right? So we see that in all of the search engines. And today, rather than search engine, we're really just calling it Google even, right? So go Google it. Well, Google uses semantic search, and we also now are applying that to artificial intelligence. And maybe you've started to see that in the results. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're not, but often there will be an AI component that kind of summarizes or identifies which topics or which links would be best for you. There are a lot of different tools that use this semantic search, which basically just says we're going to use real language and the way that we actually talk, and it's going to understand not just what you're saying, but kind of the context and the reasoning behind it. So it's more meaningful in terms of the queries and the results that we're getting. So there's lots of tools here as well. Perplexity is probably my favorite. It's the most popular of the semantic search, but also Elicit and Consensus. And again, Google's kind of playing around with this as well. We also have another tool called automated data visualization. And this is something that I think a lot of institutions are already utilizing to report on their information. Things like Tableau or Ask Data is their product that they use. We also have Power BI and QA, as well as Observable. But visualizations from that natural language request, it's really impacting all forms of artificial intelligence. To be able to say, create me an image of this, or use this table and transform it into something that is an infographic. And these items are able to do it. Another one that I like to use for that is gamma.app. It can create presentations, it can create textbook style documents. You provide all the information and it just visualizes it better. And of course, even Canva can do some of these things. And then ChatGPT can do this as well. So if you're looking for just like one tool that can kind of do all of these things, the subscription or ChatGPT of the paid version is probably the best bet for your money in terms of being able to do a lot of these different things. And then lastly, we have something called data extraction and processing. Tools like Rossum and Amazon Textract, those are some of the ones that are really being used right now to be able to extract structured data. So if that's your world, and you've got a lot of information on older sources, on PDFs, on images, and even web pages, and you need to just like sort through it all and have it pull it into one place and then process it. Rossum is my go-to for that. So if you've got a lot of documents that are saved in image files of all sorts or just on web pages, and you're thinking, wow, I would have to type all that up first, or I'd have to move it over to a spreadsheet before I even get started, something like Rossum would actually do it for you. And then it actually goes beyond that because it starts to analyze it and process the information, and it can even run some basic statistics for you as well. You can also take that data that's been extracted and then place it into something like ChatGPT, and it can go further by analyzing it really through like an SPSS kind of format. So it can actually do some high-level statistics and data analysis once it's been extracted by using multiple tools. So you can use one, or you can use all of these tools kind of in combination to really satisfy whatever your research need might be. The large language models that we're talking about, like ChatGPT, those are opening these new frontiers in research for public and school librarians. I'm excited to see people from different states here as well, because I travel a lot, and the library is the place that I go. So I'm excited to see that, people are interested in this topic and interested in how it's impacting data. So these models themselves, they can process, they can summarize, and they can generate even human-like text, which makes them ideal for that variety of applications that you come from in the libraries themselves, as you got all different kinds of people, organizations, and needs yourself to figure out, well, what are we doing with this information, and how am I supposed to be an expert in all of these fields? So, for example, librarians can use things like these large language models to quickly draft literature reviews, to be able to generate research questions, or assist patrons in refining the search terms to actually have more targeted results so that they get better results for themselves. In a support setting, like maybe a school, you can support student learning by helping understand those complex topics, or be able to rephrase things like dense text, or even to be able to simulate debates and dialogues for classroom engagement. I think it's really fun sometimes for my students, even that are at the doctoral level. I'll say, well, you're going on this quest of researching this question. What would the opposition say? And using things like large language models to be able to kind of get into this back and forth discussion with somebody that's equally intelligent on the opposing side. And I think that really helps prepare you, like for a defense, for an example. So content curation is another way that we can use it, scanning large volumes of information and then identifying the key themes or the actual paragraph or chapter that something is located in. It can identify trends or even gaps in the existing research, which I think is also, if you've got researchers in your community, or if you're a researcher, you're always trying to find what is the gap and what can I do to contribute to this body of research. Well, that's what we're looking for. Artificial intelligence through these large language models can actually help you find that gap in record time. And again, it's about improving the efficiency and your effectiveness as a researcher. So this is particularly useful when we're trying to compile these pathfinders, or creating maybe thematic resource reviews or guides, and even adapt to that natural language input so that we can make this information retrieval more intuitive and easier on your patrons. So helping patrons ask better questions actually receives better relevant responses. And that's really what we're trying to do. So as the digital research demands continue to grow, I think that librarians are able to find these large language models to be scalable and flexible, both enhancing the efficiency as well as the impact in the support of that lifelong learning. You can go deeper and get more consistent results through this process. Now, part of that is building that semantic search culture, then being able to go beyond just matching information, but actually providing the context and the conceptual relationships, and then getting that information back. So retrieving the information based on meaning rather than just matching. And I think that deepens the learning as well. So we can see, you using tools like Perplexity, for example, to analyze just thousands of research papers at one point in time, answering a very specific question that you have by looking across that data, and then being able to summarize what that knowledge or what that topic is actually saying. So semantic search, it's already here. If you're not using it already, it provides great context in your research, not just matching the meaning, or not just matching rather, but really providing what is the meaning of the question that I'm asking, and what research is out there that can help support it. And then the data visualization piece is more of a deep dive. This is something that ChatGPT offers as a feature in the deep research model as well. These tools are the combination. Like we said, you can use one or you can use a few of these tools, and in combination, they can provide some really interesting research results, including the verbal or written descriptive statistics. So here's what you can do is you can post the research that you've had in one form or another, you can post that information into it, and then you can explain it, right? So the AI can actually show you sales trends, or it can show you like what are patrons checking out the most, what other books are out there maybe that you're unfamiliar with to keep your inventory fresh. It can interpret the request, it can identify that relevant data, and then it generates not just the appropriate visualization, but the language and actually discussion that kind of goes along with it, so that the research itself and the findings become meaningful for those that are visual learners, for those that are auditory learners. It doesn't really know a boundary in terms of even the learning styles. And then the extraction and that processing piece, again, you can use it on any document that you might have scanned in. I think it's really interesting then for historical data to go back. And if you've got a lot of things that you've scanned in or that you could take a picture of, and immediately start to get the results on like, well, what is this telling me? So Google Document AI is another free tool that you can use. I always try to point out that some of these are free, some of them they don't cost money. You can begin using them right away. So you can look at that. You can also use something called import.io. They have a free trial for that web data extraction. So if you're needing it on the website and you're trying to pull that information into data collection or data processing or analytics, you can do that using that tool. And then it can also help you clean up your data, looking for outliers, trying to figure out, like, is there anything that's of missing value? And then what do we do with that information? So as information and data collection changes, it can also continue to protect that historical data. For example, if we add a new field, a new column, maybe in some of our information in our data set itself, and we didn't have that column in the past, we can't really go back and recapture it. So what do we do with it? How do we still get good results? Well, that data extraction and processing and using tools like Trifecta, they can actually help us know, what do we do with the information that's missing? How can we still have relevant data and relevant results when we have a section that's missing or a field that wasn't completed? So I'm going to provide to you next kind of these three different implementation strategies that you can pick from on, like, where are you, where's your library, what is it that you think would most fit? So just like the genres of books that we enjoy reading, there's not just like one way to be able to implement or think about AI. You could do it as a research of your workflow itself. So that's kind of our first implementation strategy is let's look at ways that we can improve our efficiency, improve the way that we're doing things. So maybe it's just the question formulation, being able to generate hypotheses or identify those knowledge gaps, the research questions that people are coming into, and how would we formulate that in a way that might get us better results when we do something like semantic search. So using something like ChatGPT that says, here's basically what I'm trying to ask. Improve this, make it appropriate for a research question, or identify something along this topic that's a gap in the research that I would then be able to focus on. Information discovery is kind of that next part of that flow. So employing that semantic search engine to be able to find those relevant sources and extract those key insights. And then follow that up with the data collection itself. So leverage those extraction tools that we talked about, scour the web, look all over the research, and collect the data for you. A lot of times the data is out there and we can kind of retrieve it instantly and start to get results to even the most complex questions. And then, of course, we could use it to analyze and synthesize the information. We can use it to create those visualizations, as well as that kind of verbal or descriptive statistics to come back to us. That's going to then help provide us with some insight. So insight development is the next step. When we employ this workflow strategy, it's going to help you refine the conclusions, also identifying the limitations, which I think that's sometimes a real struggle for research as well. Is, yeah, we've got some results, but what are the problems or what are the limitations maybe that we didn't see? Often it identifies new gaps, so we have further research that we can conduct. And then communication, being able to create the compelling narrative, being able to change up your audience, especially like if you're a complex thinker and you're an expert in the field and you've got to explain it to somebody that's in the fifth grade. How do you explain it to the fifth grader? How do you explain it to the parent? So being able to communicate what those findings are and to share it with your broader community. If you're trying to do a fundraiser, for example, you can use the large language models to target specifically the fundraising aspect of it. So the data might mean something really important to you, and it might be something really important to somebody else, but those facts can be different. So identify the audience and help it determine what facts are most appropriate to share with my audience. The next implementation strategy would be the augmented research model. And this is using not just our human-centered skills where we know certain things that we can do, like being critical of the output that AI is providing. Obviously, AI does make mistakes, and we do need to check it, just like we would our students' work. We're looking through with a critical eye, and we're trying to determine, is this correct, right? We can also determine the research priorities, and is it relevant? We use things like ethical judgment and decision making. Now, we can train AI to do some of these things, so it can become more like us the more information we provide to it. So we can kind of coach it how to think. But we can also delegate it to do specific tasks. And that's what the augmented researcher does, is we find the tasks that can be delegated to AI without removing the human component. So information retrieval, being able to filter or initial data processing, cleaning up the data that you have or filtering it. It can do all of those things. It can identify the patterns. It can draft generation or summarization, and all of those types of things that are time consuming, but it doesn't take you away from it. It actually just kind of gives you more time to review it, to cross-check it, to make sure that it is effective in what the results that are provided. And then our last one here is building effective AI prompts. I told you this is kind of the most important piece to using AI is knowing how to communicate with it. So you've got to be very specific. You've got to make sure that you are providing the context as well as the constraints. Make sure that you're telling it to use like this form of ethics to be able to evaluate this. Make sure that you're saying to use only accurate, provable data and research. So you got to tell it exactly what's expected. And if you don't, it is going to struggle. It's going to be less reliable than it's actually capable of being. You also want to use iterative refinement. So being able to say, okay, well, start general and then progressively get more detailed, more refined into what it is that we're looking for, and to communicate back and forth like you would a conversation. So oftentimes I'll give it a little bit of information, I'll check it, I'll say, yes, that's headed in the right direction. Now I want you to do this. And then I have it do that. I check it again, and then I say, great, we're still in the right direction. Now do this. And then maybe at that stage, it kind of took a left turn and I need to coach it back. So I'll let it know that isn't what I was looking for. And the more direct you are, the more specific you are, the better the refinement results are going to be. So continue to go back and forth with it. Don't get frustrated if at first it doesn't produce exactly what you're looking for. Continue to communicate. The more you use it, the better it's going to be, the better it's going to know you, and it remembers. It has a way better memory than I do. So it's going to remember how you're interacting with it and what your expectations are. And always specify your role. Make sure that you are telling it what it is that you're doing, who your audience is, as well as what is the role of AI. So what role is the AI playing? So I kind of explained to it like what my role is. I'm trying to accomplish this task. I need help with these specific items, and that's going to be your role. And then I explain what the constraints are, what the outputs need to look like, what type of language I want it to speak in, and what my audience is as well. That's going to ensure that I get the best results. So those are a few strategies that I think might help you as well. Again, AI isn't there to replace you. It's really there to complement you and to give you more time in what it is that you love doing. Well, one of the things that I like using it for is being able to see market research and what it is doing to be able to change kind of the world around us. And I think that more companies could benefit from this. If you saw the recent Cracker Barrel situation, maybe you're thinking, boy, they missed the mark in terms of who their audience was, apparently, because they've already folded and gone back to the old logo, as an example. Well, AI could have helped kind of understand a little bit more by researching who their client is and how they would feel about change. when we look at our audience, sometimes it tells a lot, right? So this particular case study looked at a chain of hardware stores, and they were trying to figure out across 12 different markets and 8 different languages, really what would be the result, or how would they be able to improve what was needed for their communities. And at first, the organization went in and they thought they would be making chain-wide changes, which means that across all of their stores, they would be doing the same thing or implementing the same strategy. But using AI, they use multi-language sentiment analysis across these different social media platforms to collect the data. And then they automated the theme extraction so that they didn't use structured feedback. They just allowed people to talk and to kind of express what they were looking for in the store or how they felt about the store. It was really kind of more of like a qualitative collection of data, but it became more quantitative. AI actually started to extract that information to generate the visualizations, showing the sentiment in different trends at different locations. And then that large language model of ChatGPT, it actually provided summaries for the executives to see store by store, community by community, and language by language what their patrons were wanting. It reduced the time that was spent doing the research. Even though they did more research, it reduced the time that was allotted by 82%. So they saved a ton of time and accomplished a lot more. And they also found undetected regional preference patterns that they really had no clue about, but AI picked up on it right away, which actually led to an increase of profits by 43%. So it can absolutely change the world that we're living in and provide very specific, more relevant information to our clients, regardless of the industry, from hardware to libraries. It really doesn't matter. It's all about how do we respond to the people that are needing and using our goods and services. So we want you to implement it as well. And we know that there's some challenges that can go along with that. I actually like to call this quality control, but I call it hallucinations, where AI can kind of hijack itself and generate like where it sounds plausible, but it's not. It actually is incorrect information. And that's why you've got to make sure that you are coding it correctly, that you are going through a verification process, that you're cross-referencing against multiple sources, and really maintaining that human oversight from it. Those are the critical situations that we're talking about. And it can get out of control. So we have to be careful. The other one is data privacy and security. It's one of the reasons that I actually kind of tell people to avoid Copilot, because it looks across Microsoft products. And if you're logged into your system account, it's understanding all sorts of different systems. I was doing some training for the state of Florida, and we actually were in a school system, and I just asked it to go out and find grades for students. It was providing me grades, names, phone numbers, information that was secure. And here I was on a guest account being able to access it. So make sure that the system that you're using is highly secure, that it doesn't contain sensitive or proprietary data, or that if it does, that it's not being shared. And again, that's why I kind of prefer things like ChatGPT that has the ability to filter that information out and to secure and authorize items that are only appropriate for the public or only appropriate on premises or within the authorized accounts. You also want to look at integration and workflow disruption. New tools without training can cause major disruption, and they can actually really disrupt the research process itself. It can cost you more time, and it can also offer less credible results. So make sure that you have a plan for it. Make sure that you're providing training in your community to be able to help people as well. And then cost management. While I try to highlight the items that are free and that you can use, and there's a lot of them out there, make sure that you are really already talking to your boards and to your directors about like, well, where's the best bang for the buck and how much money are we going to invest in this new tool? So I think that, as you go, you're going to find all kinds of different opportunities and options out there for your library, but at a cost. And you've got to weigh the balance of what's the usefulness plus the cost. Of course, AI can help you figure it out. They can help identify it and crunch the data, provide it the budget, provide it how many patrons you have and what the normal tasks are, and it can help you determine what the best use would be. So don't take my word for it. Use the tool itself to help you identify it. Now, you can get started with actually creating a plan, and of course, AI can help you do this as well. I kind of encourage you to spend kind of a week really understanding and assessing your current situation. And it's important that you're really honest with yourself about what your current situation looks like. A lot of times, people underreport their AI usage, meaning they're using it, they're just not telling people that they're using it. So identify things like the usage, like the accounts, what's being used. Identify 2 or 3 bottlenecks that you're seeing in your research in your current community, and then actually complete the basic prompt training. So I think that's the first step, is make sure that people know how to write quality prompts with the tools that are already being used. And then over the next couple of weeks, start applying those tools into the situation of projects that you've already completed, and try to look at the results and compare them. Does it already identify areas of improvement that maybe you didn't see? Or did it say, like, maybe you had a fork in the road and you saw you could go either direction? You chose this direction, and AI had a whole nother path for you that maybe you didn't see. Or if you went this other direction, maybe the results would have been better than you anticipated. Then start to focus on the time-saving aspect and document that time. How quickly did we achieve it using this tool? How quickly did we achieve it the old-fashioned way? What were the results? Were they better? Were they worse? Were they more accurate? My hope for you is that not only does it save you time, but that it produces even better results than you were producing kind of in the manual way. And then start to pilot the implementation in the first month. I think that if you drag this out too long, what ends up happening is that it loses its relevance. So I encourage a 30-day implementation plan where you've got some low-risk active projects that you can start to use the tool with, collect the feedback from the team members or a focus group, and really kind of establish, what does this look like moving forward? And then start to evaluate it in the final days. Assess, what are the results? What do we need to refine? And include AI in this process. Start telling it, what are the issues that you're running into and what can they do to fix it? It's going to guide you step by step through the process, as long as you've defined what the goal looks like. So to get started, I really do encourage you to first just use a large language model, something like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or worst case scenario, Copilot, and start exploring it. Use things like, explore this research question, or summarize this large data set for me, or identify a gap. But those free tiers, they offer substantial value. So if you don't have a paid subscription, still try it. I think you'll be impressed with the results. Perplexity AI, I told you about that one as well. Some of you seem to already know about it too. It's a very powerful research assistant. And notice that that's what it's called. It doesn't replace the researcher. It's the assistant. It can combine searches, summarization, and the citation tracking. I think it's wonderful. I also use something called ReciteWorks, which also helps go out and check those sources for me. It's a great tool, especially if you have somebody that did the research, they wrote it, maybe they even had references on a reference page, but they forgot in-text citations. Unfortunately, that happens sometimes. You can use something like ReciteWorks or Perplexity to help you go and find, here are my sources, here's the paper, where do I need to cite this? And it can actually help people do that. And then Alyssa, it's for academic research. It's like specialized for that. So if you are in a research library setting, or if you're a research librarian, if you're in a college setting, or even a high school setting, this might be really helpful for you, because it can extract that key information from a variety of different types of documents, as well as even videos, and be able to cite anything based on published research, including answering specific research questions. So those are some of the tools that I recommend, or that I use as great ways of getting started. Of course, Key takeaways are always important. I think we kind of want to establish that these tools can transform the efficiency of research. They can save us time, but the credibility is certainly in question. It all relies on you to be highly skilled at using these tools. And of course, implementation itself requires a strategy. So start with the clear goal and a short time frame. I really encourage like a 30-day plan on implementation so that people get used to using it every day. Then prompt engineering is essential. I think this is a great opportunity for libraries across our country to be able to provide adult and even children with educational opportunities. Bring your community into your library. Teach them how to write these prompts, how to use these tools. It is like learning a new language. So you want them to improve their literacy. AI, it has a new language. You're able to start with that as a form of literacy improvement, and begin with those accessible tools. Start with the ones that are free, that are user-friendly, that anybody would have access to. All right, folks. Well, I'm always open to questions, and we do have a few minutes here to answer questions that you might have. You can also reach me at treg@getconnectable.com. Always happy to entertain you there. I'm excited. I think I saw Sandra Osborne on here from Mooresville. I've got a training coming up for your library, I believe, next month. And then the Indianapolis Public Library, excited to see you. I just confirmed your date for November the 3rd. We're always happy to come and visit you as well. We are in 24 states, so even people that are out of state, if you need some professional development or training, don't hesitate to reach out. And I believe, Megan, you're going to collect questions as well for those that we don't get answered today, and we can provide a response. The slides will be in a PDF form that will be sent out as well after this.
All right. Thank you so much, Treg, again, for coming on and giving this presentation to us. I'm always learning something new. If anyone has any questions, we have a few minutes, so please put your questions in the chat.
I think Selena said it best: simultaneously amazing and terrifying. That's how I
Yeah.
describe it too. And yes, absolutely.
Carrie asks, are any of the data visualization tools you mentioned free? Also, this was a great session. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. So, honestly, I would start with ChatGPT. I know that's like the one that everybody's heard of. It's one of the easiest ones to use. The free version provides data visualization. You can also use things like DALL-E, which is powered by ChatGPT or their parent company anyway. So that's where I would begin. If you're very unfamiliar with it, or if you're just trying to dabble in it and you're not ready to pay for something, start with ChatGPT.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Just some great information. We're saying, Julie says, great presentation.
Thank you. And next time, I think, aren't we talking about, we're talking about saving time and boosting efficiency. I think I'm going to talk about utilizing the Eisenhower matrix. And this is kind of like how I manage my time. So a great opportunity. If you're not anything, I'll be coming to us live from New Orleans. So we'll be taking our What's Up Wednesday on the road.
Nice. Yes. If anyone hasn't signed up for that, please go and I will send you the link here in the chat where you can do that. But again, thank you, Treg, for presenting today, and thanks to everyone for being here. As a reminder, if you are watching an archived recording of this presentation, information on how to obtain your LAU is in the video's description in YouTube. And I'm not seeing a lot of questions come through, so I will just stop the recording.